onto the Venom from Rejects, and before we head into...
Ooh.
Okay, not a Venom ban. Psylocke is getting removed, which means that Emma's power level drops. Not just that, if you want to run a flyer composition, you don't have to worry about the Psylocke keeping a track of that.
And speaking of flyers, look at the map we're in. We're at the Hellfire Gala yet again. We're on Krakoa, a map known to be very, very open. A lot of open space, a lot of open air for these flyers to take the space that they need to. But obviously, we're in season 4.5 where Human Torch got a little bit extinguished. Ultron got a bit of downgrades as well. But so far, 100 Thieves and Reject looking to find ways to take some sort of edge over their opponent.
It's the Delena hero swipe again. Coming on through from the side of Reject, Delena's been swapping over to that Psylocke, but he's also been playing the Winter Soldier from time to time, so that Terra can play flexibility. So Reject are going to be removing those two duelists, which means that the Atom is still going to be up. Do 100 Thieves try and go for a save? Or are they going to go for the Venom because they had the Jeff, which means that they get symbiotic shenanigans?
A very, very strong tee-up, not only helping the Venom with some stats, but also to the Jeff, providing some extra utility. How does Reject react to this? They will have to take away the Namor Hela synergy, or else they will just get absolutely zoned away if Reject lose that first fight.
Adam gets through. Delena doesn't get to play the Hela, doesn't get to play the Winter Soldier, doesn't get to play the Psylocke, but does get to play the Atom. And this could be where we actually get to see Dobie with Reject save on the Jeff. Some of these teams have been more than happy to let the Atom through, especially on a map like Krakoa, because what they've started doing is using the It's Jeff against the Atom. If you manage to environmentally get the pickoff onto the Atom, even if the self-res is still on cooldown, it does not actually proc. So a lot of these teams will use It's Jeff to carry the Atom off of the map when he's trying to use his ultimate.
And that's the adjustment coming in. Reject also, like you mentioned, Dobie, one of the most strongest Jeffs we have seen in this entire tournament. Now with the likes of Piggy, they do have that two-man wombo combo with the Heaven's Retribution into the It's Jeff. Whereas 100 Thieves, they're looking a lot more aggressive this time around.
I mean, they've got the symbiotic shenanigans. They can be as aggressive as they want to, enabling for this first dive. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Reject reacts to it, because Adam also wasn't banned on their end either. If they think it's going to be aggressive, they could just go for a stack play with the Adam Soulbind. But it looks like we're getting a dive versus dive, although it's not going to be a mirror. Gargoyle is going to be onto the Iron Fist, and Terra is letting the Daredevil out of Hell's Kitchen.
If I remember correctly, this is the first time we have seen Gargoyle play the Fist of Fury. So it's going to be, if he has been preparing this in the sidelines as he's able to find an engagement onto Terra, who has to swing his sticks over to safety as Gargoyle looking to reposition yet again, and the rest of 100 Thieves and Reject have to scrap it out. Keep in mind, this is their moment. They have to go off, or else they are eliminated from this entire tournament.
This Angela is getting to do so much, both peeling the dive, but also enabling it on the end of Reject. So far, neither of these teams have been able to pick up that first point cap as we're trying to build towards one of those ultimates. 100 Thieves don't have the symbiotic shenanigans anymore, which was the one-sided advantage that they had. And there's going to be first blood going to the side of Thieves, but that's immediately going to be counterplayed by the POV coming on through to potentially res one of them, as Marvel on the Captain America is able to take Delena down, who was so close to getting the first Galactic Legend. And still, with the mobility that we're seeing from both of these two teams, none of them are giving an inch until now. 100 Thieves managed to clear Marvel off and pick up first cap.
And they're able to get a decent man advantage. 100 Thieves take control. And something that we have been talking about on the side of Reject, right? They are really, really good at focusing down key members that have their ultimates, but as of late, we haven't seen that as much nowadays, as Reject just seem to be a little bit out of sync. It's going to be all up to here if they're able to regroup, recollect themselves, and find a way back in, whereas 100 Thieves look to make the offensive move, look to push on even further.
This is going to be the problem for Reject, though. Playing dive into a retake situation is a lot harder than one when you're in control of the space. place. So the Starlet with Finale is doing a lot to be able to clear out these angles and work out where 100 Thieves are positioned. Out comes the Galactic Legend, powered up by the E from that AoE, and Harvey has been picked, which means that 100 Thieves don't get the BRB. Out comes its Jav, also at the same time as Melania's, as Delina pops his own solid ultimate to try to keep a track of Dobby's location and take him down, as Terra's immediately on top of him too.
Delina able to take to the skies, try to find a pick, but he's not able to do so as Vinny goes down into the depths as the Heaven's Retribution tethers him into place. 100 Thieves, they are climbing, they are getting closer to that round 1 win, but Reject looking to fight right back, but Marvel does get picked up, but does come back thanks to the BRB. Izayaki and Gargoyle look to team up with their own ultimates, but aren't able to find the key picks as Harvey just barely able to get the CYA down in time before he even goes down, as Delina and Vinny take full advantage of that 40% damage boost and will just take over this round number 1.
The follow-up, the Angela's mobility being able to keep a track of Delina's location too, so that when the Solid looks for 1, the Angela is there to be able to tip that damage over into an elimination is absolutely massive. We're about to go into overtime. Reject do not currently have a player on that stage. They're going to be relying on the mobility instead to tap onto one of those positions and keep the overtime bar in play, but Terra is able to take advantage of an isolated Izayaki. No rocket, one less heal, and also no BRV station to bring these players back from the edge.
Somehow Reject are still stalling well, but that's where it ends. As soon as I finish this sentence, 100 Thieves take over round number 1, and Reject need to pick up the pieces for this next round.
Yeah, Dive is so problematic for teams to play against when it's overtime, because what it really thrives off of, right, is looking for those isolated targets. And that's why a lot of the time when we see counter-dive compositions, it's all about stacking up rather than splitting your comp. When we have overtime, however, Reject's hand is forced. They have to have players split so that they're ready to go for that relay baton pass of going and tagging onto the objective, which means that 100 Thieves is like 5 seconds extra for Delina to just disentangle himself from the fight and go find Izayaki, but the amount of value that you get from being able to pick the rocket and deny the stall potential of a BRB is there in spades.
We got to see what Reject look to go for. 100 Thieves clearly in the driver's seat, up 1 round in this map number 1. Best of 5, keep that in mind. So this is no longer a sprint of a series. We are going to experience a marathon as Reject need to find a way back. Taking a look at the ultimate economy, 100 Thieves have a lot to work with.
Reject think that they've worked out the answer to this. We're going to be seeing Piggy over to the Anna, Gargle onto the Adam, but again, Terra finds these isolated players. No rocket to bring them back, and now it's a 6 versus 5, and 100 Thieves are in the element, just pushing into Reject, playing that rush down. However, the Soulbind buys the opportunity for Reject to flip the script, and they've been able to find one of those trades, but Terra gets brought back, and it's going to be a Galactic Legend instead, supplied by Finale to try and cut them off before they go onto the point.
But it looks like Delina is able to find another Galactic Legend, but isn't able to find one until now as Dobby goes down. But Melania sends 2 down into the abyss, but Marvel is able to trade TTK as well, contributing to this fight as 100 Thieves look to take over yet again. That site still not in control, not in their grasp until now as Reject rejected away from the site.
That's going to be rough as well, because they did go down to the Itchjeff. However, that does mean that Itchjeff is not there to interfere with Gargoyle's ultimate, who is going to be there as TTK. TTK is just scanning, trying to figure out where exactly Reject are going to rotate from, and that's the thing when you have a flying Vanguard. Look at the amount of information that TTK has.
They have no idea.
First being cleared, they have to go onto the point. They're trying to pull him down. He's so low, but he's able to get right back to the LOS of the Cosmic Ion Amplifier. But in the meantime, Reject were able to flip the point.
All gas, no brakes for 100 Thieves. So many ultimates available on Reject, but with the picks coming in left, right, and center, it makes it difficult for Reject to find a way back into the sky. Piggy even having to resort to that Doctor Strange switch and has to join his team with the portal, while Marvel is just stalling and stalling, trying to buy enough time for Piggy to swirl his fingers around and try to manifest a portal into existence, and they're able to do so successfully. But the Heaven's Retribution and the Devil out from Terra Terra are just shredding down Reject as Gargoyle forced to use his own ultimate as Izayaki needs to find a way to keep the team healthy and alive, but Delana takes his guys yet again, and Terra needs to find more picks, but Gargoyle will quickly deny them from it.
Oh my goodness, Gargoyle does get taken down by Terra, but he still has...
Oh my god, Dobie!
Dobie gets two, both the benefits of it, but you have to go off the map. Otherwise, they're just going to be able to recover as Millennia shows. Anything you can do, I can do, well, not quite better, because Reject had one extra player taken off of the map. The crucial thing here is, though, the Thieves, Millennia didn't go off. They still have one of their strategists to back them up and keep this fight going.
Reject only down one member, but Finale with the Galactic Legend needs to rocket his way back onto the site. Vinny is threatening them with a feast. Will he eat good here as Vinny just trying to buy as much time as possible? 100 Thieves now down a member, but Gargoyle was quickly traded away. Finale is trying to shoot away from the skies as he's able to laser down Harvey. Vinny now caught out in a flank position, now getting skewered right onto the site. This is not a time that Vinny wants to dive just yet, and he will Tarzan his way out to safety.
100 Thieves think that this is winnable. Terra's onto the Doctor's Range looking for that portal. Recontest, the piece of the abyss comes on through from Vinny. Sets up the pick with TTK on the follow-up. The Assassin Spear manages to catch both strategists. And it's up to Reject in overtime. They have to give. The flip comes through. 100 Thieves will be able to claim it. And now this is just a matter of resetting quickly so that you don't allow 100 Thieves to start shoring up the ultimate economy.
Reject were able to get to 99%. 100 Thieves want to look to do the same. How does 100 Thieves approach this situation? Look at the minimap on the top left. Reject looking to make a rotational play. Need to find a different angle in as TTK and Vinny, the two vanguards of 100 Thieves, are just screening away Reject from any form of retake happening as Terra and TTK teaming up to take down Finale, the star player, on Reject. And looks like Reject needs to find a way to either stall or back away before they get staggered even further.
The Heaven's Retribution comes on through from Piggy. Reject are trying to just force 100 Thieves into sinking their ultimate economy in this fight. It is going to come at the cost of the Cosmic Yawn Amplifier, but 100 Thieves are still going to be able to hold on to pretty much everything else for that composition. Gargoyle, though, is so close to that Karmic Revival. It's going to be a last fight situation, potentially, as Reject keep losing players out of sync with the rest of their team. This is 100 Thieves just continuing to apply pressures that Reject can't disengage.
Gargoyle does have the cocoon, so he will be able to get back into the fray quickly. But Dobie is able to chomp onto Vinny. But can Vinny get away to safety? Can he swing his way back to a fight? It looks like he almost falls into the abyss, but just barely is able to hang on as Terra and the rest of 100 Thieves look to take advantage of a slight misplay as Millennia does swallow up Marvel. And this time, the frag is successful. Harvey comes back, brings Terra back thanks to the BRB, I'm sorry, as Delana takes the skies, as everyone 100 Thieves feasting, taking to the skies. They control the skies, they control the seas as Reject fall to pieces. 100 Thieves looking to come back in round number 2, but Marvel wants to keep the stall going. A desperate portal attempt as Gargoyle also switches over to the Wolverine to try to kidnap any sort of 100 Thieves member back into the site. But 100 Thieves look to hold, look to stall, but Reject are able to float onto the site, but it might be denying the inevitable. 100 Thieves with a 2-0 in the map will take over Krakoa.
Yeah, those portal plays and also the swaps coming up through from Reject's end was purely treading water. We got to see, like you said, Gargoyle go onto the Wolverine, not just so he can try and find some connections, but also so that he has the passive, that extra level of survivability. Because remember, normally the swap is Adam, but they were actually running Adam within their composition, so there wasn't the Self-Res and there wasn't also the Soulbind being able to come on through. And 100 Thieves, we have to talk about one of the reasons why they did so well into Reject's dive, and it was Terra. This guy coming out with that Daredevil doesn't get all of the assists because he's not actually manually connecting the damage, but what he is doing is supplying the information of Reject's rotations so that even when you're playing into places like like retakes, or you know that Reject are on the walk up and trying to take multiple different angles, Finale was always being found out because the Daredevil literally knows where he's playing from. He could relay that information over to TTK, who just kept sweeping on through with those literal interceptions in the sky.
And that's the information coming in clutch, especially in this professional setting. All of these players being in 6-stack lobbies, and they're just providing information constantly. And with Terra on that Daredevil, being able to spot out key members of Reject, it doesn't give Reject any room to find any opportunities. Like you mentioned, Finale wanted to go for some sort of flying plays, but every single time they got spotted.
I mean, it's not even like you're spotted, it's just you come into range and immediately Daredevil's radar sense just starts immediately going, whoop, 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 whoop.
I see you.
He does.
He does see you. He sees all.
Everything except strange portals.
True, true. Strange portals definitely do throw a wrench in Daredevil's sights, but right now the question does become, now that 100 Thieves have that map win, now it's Reject's turn to select a map. Now that domination is out of the way, it's either Convoy or Convergence. What are their options and what might be the best for them?
Honestly, a really good strategy, because this is a best of 5. We're guaranteed to go to both map types, even if it is a 3-0 sweep, is take us to a Convoy map that isn't Yggdrasil Path to remove it from play. Like, you heard it on the desk, Yggdrasil Path is TTK's playground. For a reason. I think if you're Reject, you want to try and take us somewhere that's a Convoy map without letting 100 Thieves hit their comfort zones.
And that might be the plan here. Like you said, TTK's playground on Yggdrasil. He is so good on that map. Despite being a Vanguard, it just seems like he's been the hard carry, especially on that Yggdrasil map. And I think that's a great approach for Reject. Pick a Convoy map that literally just isn't the map that starts with the letter Y. So as long as they do that, they should be golden. They should find a chance back into the series.
Yeah, something else that you can take advantage of on a Convoy maps, because those are the maps where we see most of all the Mantis not being instant banned, is the Emma ban. Like, if 100 Thieves decide to go for the Emma ban, then Reject will be able to lay stake to something like the Mantis if they decide to field into it, and then that's going to force 100 Thieves into having to bring bans on things like the Loki, so that you don't get the team up with a regen domain, widening its expanse as well as applying damage boost, which stacks, by the way. Loki damage boost with Mantis damage boost both stack, and there is no actual capacity
and
of that damage boost stacking.
Yeah, and there's a reason why Mantis and the Loki have been meta for so long. That damage buff obviously stacking and just providing so much extra ulti charge, and that really does throw the ultimate economy, the ultimate timings way off, and that's something the teams really have to track. We saw that in their interview. Some of these teams are struggling to get that ultimate timings down, and right now it looks like 100 Thieves might be getting it at this point.
Let's have a look at some of these statistics coming on through, weighing up 100 Thieves and Reject. As we can see, Reject did do a fair bit of damage, right? Finale 14.6k, Gargoyle also 10k. It's just that 100 Thieves were always able to heal it through and sustain, and then allow it to channel into their strategist's ultimate charge, as well as always being able to play aggressive. It really did feel like 100 Thieves got everything that they wanted, especially with Terra on that Daredevil, being able to stay on top of Dobby on the jab.
And Reject, right? We talked about it. They like to focus down members that might have their ultimate, but it's starting to waver a little bit. It didn't seem like Reject were in sync at all. I feel so bad saying this every single time, right? Just Reject, they look so good in the early stages of the group stage, but then towards the tail end, they start to falter a little bit. And as someone who's tracked the Asia region, especially Reject throughout the entirety of this year, ever since stage 1, I'm a little down in the dumps. I'll admit that, but Reject, it's still hopeful. It's still a best of 5. They've come back from this situation before, and I'm confident that they'll be able to do it again.
I think the Daredevil really did not help matters, like you said, with that destroyment, because Thieves always really knew what Reject were wanting to do before Reject were even in position to play off of each other. And because they were playing a composition that could go so incredibly quickly, that's exactly what they were doing, right? right? Every single time they want to fight, they then just continued applying even more pressure and then even more pressure on top of that, so that they got more point percentage, more opportunity to rebuild their ultimate economy, and also to just keep Reject from regrouping. And Dive needs to play in a group. It's not just one person in a dive, the entire team makes it.
And we have our answer in terms of what Reject picked for map number 2. It's going to be Araco. So no Yggdrasil in this series for now. But Reject and 100 Thieves now have to navigate this draft. What do you feel about Araco here in the Grand Finals playoffs?
Well, doesn't Emma ban that it's on Reject's end, which means that Mantis is still going to be removed from their play. It does weaken 100 Thieves in terms of being able to break the triple hold, right? You don't have an Emma to be able to play on the objective and use the Carbon Crush against things like the Venom on the cap, who are going to be looking to stall things out. And it's also going to be an Adam ban coming through here from the side of Reject as well, before 100 Thieves can start getting things like the Loki and the Adam in their control, so that they can really stall out this defense. This feels to me like Reject are fully targeting 100 Thieves' sustainability on their holds rather than their offenses.
And that's something that Reject have approached, right? I know back in the Asia region, a lot of teams have been banning away Vanguards over some strategists or duelists in these conflict convergence maps, most notably being Doctor Strange showing some presence in the bans. But Reject looks to approach it a little bit differently. Taking away the Adam Warlock, that is a way that 100 Thieves could stall, but that's also one of Delena's key heroes.
Well, it wasn't an instant ban on the Jeff, so both of these teams are going to be able to secure that one. Reject do finally get their ban onto the Mantis, as 100 Thieves went for the save on that rather than the other strategist. And Winter Soldier has also been removed on the end of Reject, which means that Gargoyle, one of his staple hero picks, has now been removed as well. Reject, seeing that Venom was a targeted Vanguard, want to still have a dive Vanguard enabling that Jeff composition, so we'll go for the save onto the Captain America. That's also going to be powered up better by the ban on the Emma Frost earlier.
And it looks like 100 Thieves are able to secure the symbiotic shenanigans yet again. They are able to secure the Venom for themselves. Rocket also going to be denied onto Reject, so no BRB, no CYA available to them. And most importantly, no Star-Lord, because he's going to get tanked a little bit without that portal.
Yes, and I mean, we got to see what exactly players like Bobo could do with that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Super deep with the Star-Lord, use your ultimate, force the strategist ultimate, and immediately blip on out of there, because there's also CC immunity applied to that. You have full iframes, so you don't have to worry about being prevented from hitting that button. As we can have a look and see what exactly Reject are going to be going through here on the defense. If we do see the Loki fielded, 100 Thieves on the attack are going to have the luxury of scouting the composition and swapping over to something like the Moon Knight, who's able to punish the doppelgangers with the Onk bounces to generate your ultimate faster.
And now we move on into Araco, our second map in this lower bracket. Round number 1. 100 Thieves have a leg above Reject at the moment. But can Reject clap back here? It's all going to matter here in map number 2 as we set our sights on Araco.
If you're wondering why we're seeing an Ultron as well, this is a read from Reject. Ultron is very good at staying on top of Storm, and a lot of these attacking teams have been playing Storm for the Spawn Break with that damage boost. So Finale is going to be able to keep an eye on Delena's angles, but will suffer into Terror on the Winter Soldier, as 100 Thieves are going to start things off, moving over to the objective and utilizing both the Strange and Groot walls as coverage to push and invade into Reject's position so that they can get close enough with the Goddess boost to warp in a target.
Reject are playing very aggressive, but that might cost them in the end, as Millennia and Delena both teaming up to find 2. Now Reject are a little bit fragmented, as a third of their team is no longer in the fight. And look at the immediate response from Reject. They're just going to run away, run for the hills, but 100 Thieves are chasing right after them.
Terror through that portal's already on a really rough angle for Reject to have to deal with into this. Reject are giving up yet more and more space, as that Winter Soldier is already 50% to his ultimate. Because Reject have been playing so spread, there isn't actually going to be something like an invisible boundary to be able to stop it.
Piggy's
Terror manages to knock Piggy off the map with the tainted voltage over the pit, and Reject now just have to rely on Gargoyle and Marble to stall.
Terra on this Bucky becomes a no-fly zone for Reject. That corner, that place where Piggy could have played around, is his demise. Piggy could have used the Assassin's Charge to throw people into some environmental KOs, but TTK will find a KO of his own. And Finale and Dobby, the two strategists on this team, need to team up to find a way back in, but it looks like they're going to concede that first point.
Reject going to be swapping now, picking off of the Angela because of the aerial threats over to the Emma to stop the rush time potential of 100 Thieves composition, but Vinny does have the Strangling Prison, and Melania the It's Jeff as Terra goes to his staple hero, something that we haven't got to see in a while. He's on the Wolverine.
Wolverine for Terra, the adjustment coming in from that Bucky pick, but here comes the offensive from 100 Thieves. So many ultimates, it's another Jeff NATO, but on the streets of Araco as Delena swallows up all of Reject, but now Reject have a chance to clap back here, but 100 Thieves still have a decent amount of ultimates available. Dobby is able to spit out two members of 100 Thieves, so they're going to be a little bit fragmented, but Izayaki of all people are going to find two eliminations as he's able to support the team and support the team with more frags. And Reject looking to try and stall what is this 100 Thieves offense that is going so well right now.
It's not a full reset though from the side of the attackers. They still have the space to be directly on top of the defense, and they think that it's winnable. Psionic Seduction gets entirely prevented by TTK's Eye of Agamotto. A blink and you'll miss an Emma ultimate moment, and Reject now have to rely on the Freedom Charge from Marvel, but that's just not going to be able to stand up to the heals per second by Harvey's invisible boundary, and 100 Thieves are going to be able to win this fight out and only have to fight through one or potentially none more if they can prevent Reject's players from tapping onto this objective and stalling it, and the Groot Wall is looking to do just that.
The Force Physics trying to keep Marvel at bay, but the portal does come in, so props to Marvel for being able to stall on that site, but Terra and TTK teaming up yet again, defining two eliminations as Terra just slashes down the Land Shark, turn him into sashimi as 100 Thieves secure that second point.
Terra is going to be swapping now, potentially off of the Wolverine, but he's so close to that last stand. It's going to be channeled over to 50% charge on the Daredevil, because look at what Reject have done. Gargoyle goes over to the Psylocke. The Daredevil's going to be able to keep a track of exactly the off angle that Gargoyle wants to hit, so that Finale does not get anywhere near the amount of space and pressure off of him to set up this Phoenix on those stacked angles, as we're going to see Delena now with that Kraken attack, looking for a hook, trying to grab someone from Reject off of the high ground and deposit them onto the low.
Reject adjusted their team composition a little bit. Finale on the Phoenix, Gargoyle on the Psylocke, but there is a response from 100 Thieves. Delena does go down empty-handed. Vinny also going down empty-handed as Finale picks up a double with the left and right click simultaneously, but Terra might be the problem for Gargoyle as Gargoyle wants to look for a flank play, but that Daredevil can see it all as Finale, the star of the show, the star from stage 1 and stage 2 in Asia, coming up huge yet again.
Dobby's over to the Lunar as well, so that he can give things like the Idol or a Snowflake over to one of his DPL duelists who are going to be playing on those off angles. Gargoyle having to deal with an aggressive 100 Thieves who portal directly back into this fight. Out comes the Dance of the Butter, or rather not the Dance of the Butter, the shift coming on out from Gargoyles and to be able to clean up onto Melania. And he goes through the portal looking for an opportunity to use this ultimate, sees the spread of these players, let the Devil Light first comes on through from the side of 100 Thieves, but the Dance of the Butterflies cuts them down low enough that Reject are able to clean on up. And this should be a hold, although Gargoyle was a little bit too aggressively close to 100 Thieves spawn, and there's now an opening. They don't have to clear the Psylocke to be able to rotate into some of these side angles.
100 Thieves were able to push so far forward, so far quickly, that they're so close to that third point. And now Reject have to hold off the offense of 100 Thieves that takes them 2.5 minutes as Marvel charges up the Meteor. Can he find the value? Looks like he's not able to, but Harvey still forced to use that invisible boundary as Vinny just being an absolute nuisance in the back line of Reject as the Cutterfly comes out for Delena, but is it lethal? The answer will be no until I say so, as Izayaki does go down with the final slash. Melania swallows up 2 members of his own, but is able to find one of the enemy. But he's only going to use it to separate the team as Vinny gets stunned up.
What a big freeze from Dobie. After the fate of both wars had been used, that piece, I think that's going to be brutal. It's got to be used now. TTK floats above everybody.
Oh, he found Finale!
Finds the interception onto Finale, taking out the Phoenix, and now Reject are missing one of those massive parts of burst damage. Kraken impact comes on through, catches the Emma. Someone's got to go back onto that. He's looking for the resets. He's putting the pressure onto the strategist on the sidelines, and the rest of the team have the mobility to be able to keep up with it. Down to the butterflies from Gargoyle is just pushing 100 Thieves off of the objectives that Reject get an opportunity to regroup, but 100 Thieves are taking players out one by one until Reject are entirely done with their objective presence, and 100 Thieves complete the full push.
They complete the triple. 100 Thieves steam on through as Reject need to find a way back. 100 Thieves are looking so good to steal away this map pick from Reject.
Well, Reject, when they went into the ban draft, it was very much targeted at 100 Thieves defense. How are they going to be able to respond on their attack? This should be a good push. There is no Adam for Soulbind. There is no Emma for 100 Thieves to have the Emma to prevent the rush down and also put pressure on Reject's players when they do decide to want to just go aggressively forward. This could be a very strong first push, or it could be 100 Thieves taking full advantage of all of the angles that they have before the round even begins and holding Reject in spawn, especially if there's a reliance on the crossfire setup of both the Psylocke and the Phoenix that Reject are currently teasing.
100 Thieves opting to go for the triple setup, a setup that we have been seeing time and time again. But this time, Harvey has access to that Loki pick, a player who has been one of the best Loki players we have seen in this entire scene, as Reject looking to get the push going, and they're going to opt to go for the Punisher as well as the Storm to help with that rollout.
No Jeff NATO currently built up. They're going to be trying to build over towards it. They do have to worry about Harvey with the Doppelgangers and the regen domain being able to heal all the way through it, as we get to see 100 Thieves making that move. Symbiotic Shenanigans with a great force physics comes on for Mizuyaki, displacing Vinny's exit, and Reject are still able to hold that position somewhat in front, but that's exactly where TTK and the Magneto wants to be playing from. Gets to use both the shield and the bubble to keep himself safe, and Reject are denied, deprived their Punisher, which means they just don't have the melt damage necessary to hold 100 Thieves back.
But so far, the push is looking good for Reject. They're able to get 2 picks back to back and back as Marvel finds another Finale, stacks up to find another as well. 100 Thieves are falling apart. They're getting staggered off the get-go as Reject look to chug on forward, move Araco forward. But how much further until 100 Thieves try to find a stall happen?
One of the big things as well for Reject, because 100 Thieves don't have the Emma, is they don't have to hold Final Judgment to act as a counter component to the Psionic Seduction. TDK swaps over to the Stranger, 100 Thieves flipping map position immediately. They've got the regen domain to cushion their landing as Terra closes up the distance.
Oh no!
Against Marvel on the Groot, using him as a scratching post and denying the setup of Strangling Prison into an actual wombo combo, either the Final Judgment or the Jeff Nado.
Jeff Nado available for Reject. Marvel as well has the Strangling Prison. So this wombo combo that you are setting up could be devastating. Everyone on Reject have their ultimate, and it's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when will Reject pull the trigger, whereas 100 Thieves also moving closer and closer to their own ultimates. We might see a 6v6 as the ultimates start raining down as Gargoyle gets picked off the rip as he's forced into the sidelines. Finale and Izuyaki teaming up to use their ultimates to try to provide as much damage as possible. There are so many people in the pit, but Finale picks up a double. Melania is able to spit down Marvel, but the rest of 100 Thieves are looking to claw back, kicking and screaming, but Dobie able to swallow up a strategist from 100 Thieves, and he is sent to the abyss, but GTK trades yet again, and these back and forth and back again. Push and pull is the name of the game for both of these teams.
Yeah, the E doesn't deny the line of sight from Harvey onto Delena though, so he's still able to use the God of Mischief to copy into the Invis boundary, and 100 Thieves hold that position around this corner. From Terra, that's where you have to worry about the corner.
Oh my god.
Stand manages to clump onto every everyone from Reject. Izayaki punishes the overextension from the Wolf, however, as Gargoyle goes aggressively into 100 Thieves backline, forcing out the Regen domain with the use of the Hurricane, and that should be Reject pushing 100 Thieves out, and they're going to go for a full reset. They don't have the Strange Portal, but there's enough distance before we hit first checkpoint that they're going to have another fight.
100 Thieves have time to regroup. They are able to move past that environmental risky area as the rest of Reject moving, inching closer and closer. 100 Thieves looking to make a stop happen, but there is Marvel in the backline trying to disrupt what is left. The lamps are used by that Loki of Harvey, and now 100 Thieves are down to one key ability, but look at TTK. He is so close to that Eye of Agamotto, flying, taking to the skies, but will not opt to use it just yet as 100 Thieves find that early pick onto Gargoyle.
Terror swapped over to the Star-Lord as well to play anti-flyer over to Gargoyle on that Storm, who now has to swap over to the Psylocke just to be able to get it a little bit faster. Eye of Agamotto looks for an opening. The force physics is good, but it still finds the connection onto 2. Finale gets the final judgment off. Piggy's going to be able to entirely bodyguard it with the use of the Meteor M.
Oh my God, he goes down.
Have an actual strategist ultimate once the Meteor M has been cooked. Finale is just too vulnerable, and 100 Thieves find the pick to shut the win condition down. Overtime starts to come into play. It's Jeff loops around the objective, and it's Melania who's been able to make away with Piggy.
And that's gonna be it. That's curtains for Reject in this map number 2. 100 Thieves complete the heist, and they will yoink away Raraco for themselves.
We still have one more potential map. We might go even further, but for Reject, they have to win this next one. It has to be a convergence pick if they want to be able to continue in this tournament. And for the ban draft especially, I think we're going to be seeing a couple of adjustments made. Like, I do like the Emma getting removed, but at the same time, I also feel that 100 feels like TTK is such a flexible player that even with the Emma out of the pool, he's still going to be able to find value on something that does pretty much the same job.
100 Thieves, though, they are in a very, very commanding position, already at match point in this best of 5. We touted this as what could be a marathon, but so far 100 Thieves are making it a sprint, a 100-meter dash, as we give ourselves a little bit of a break as we head over to the desk. Cozy, how are we feeling about that one?
Oh my goodness, what an absolute banger so far. I mean, it's Halloween night, right? 100 Thieves is putting up a fright, but does Reject have what it takes to get a hero arc comeback, Rye? What is it going to take?
It's going to take convergence for one. That's going to be the map that we're forced into, but it's tricky from here on out, right? Because they wanted to go to Araco. We've not really seen much of the map, certainly when it comes to like choice. It's a curveball to try and go for something that maybe 100 Thieves aren't really as prepared on. But you start off on like Krakoa as well, where both these teams are undefeated, and it still lent very well for 100 Thieves. It's just the choice. Jallia, Central Park. What are you going to do?
Yeah, because then you take a look at what the performance was on that first map, right? And when I was looking at Krakoa, I was like, oh man, wait, Reject should actually do pretty well here. Yeah. They're like 5-0 during their stage of progress on Krakoa. That was the first time we saw Reject play on Krakoa in the grand finals at LAN. Yeah. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves, they did have that good progress, but being able to see how dominating they were able to take that, Terra on Daredevil, I mean, Delena on Star-Lord, it's crazy.
I mean, honestly, that's a great highlight because that team is playing this such dive-heavy comp. 100 Thieves haven't played much of that going into it. Now it's kind of every hero that's mobile, everyone that can dive together. You have TTK on Angela, not a ton of that until recently, right? And then Terra on the Daredevil, and you continue this train with Vinny on the Vin, right? It's this dive comp.
It feels very like iffy as well, because like you're looking at the draft, I think we did see Moxie said towards the end of like liking the first ban of Emma, but then the Jeff's available, then the Mantis. It's that sort of rock, paper, scissors. Which do you hate more, Mantis, Jeff the Land Shark, or Emma Frost? And it feels that 100 Thieves have the ability to like pivot in a lot of those moments. Makes it hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, that's what happens when you're flexible. We often see in these tournaments in general, the more flexible you are, the harder it is to just outlast and out-survive what is the fundamentals of the pick-ban phase. Now, want to ask, listen, we've looked at the map pool. I'll throw it to Rye quick for the map. I mean, what do we expect Reject to throw it here?
So they have picked Central Park, they've picked Jallia, but like they've 0-1 on Jallia. 1 and 2 on Central Park, and I think the one win was probably just like one of the qualifying games in the end. For 100 Thieves, they had a win on it. They had some like decent performances, sort of when it matters. It does feel a little bit like the Araco might have been the ace up the sleeve to try and throw themselves differently. So when you see 100 Thieves finish out the map and then you get full held on first, it's damning, I'd say.
Yeah, right now there's no glass slipper for the Cinderella stories of this far, right? You know, Chopper Mag almost there, obviously with Reject as well. You know, no Snickers coming from them. They want their payday for the 100 grand. Too much candy punch in there. Vicky, tell me, when you look at what 100 Thieves continues to do, how do they keep their momentum up?
I mean, it's the fact that Convergence in Stage 2, they were like 7-3, but then when you take a look at Reject, they were on Convergence 6-2, right? So both of these teams are pretty good when it comes to Convergence, but is this the ace up your sleeve? If you're Reject right now, you want to make sure you have a better record, because currently, I believe, in the Grand Finals Ignite stage, they've been, what, 2-3 within the group stages on Convergence, so we have to see how they're going to be able to rely on that.
Yeah, let's take a look at the map results here, and if we look at the graphic pulled up by our amazing production team, you can see exactly how the damage was done either way. And for me, if I'm Reject, right, if I'm coaching Reject, we continue to see this, and right, you kind of brought this up, and you as well, Vic. Listen, finish strong. We've seen OUG and Crazy Raccoon, same thing. They were able to take maps, they were able to really put on pressure, but just not getting the job done at the end there, and that's what I want to see from Reject, right?
Yeah, it's like looking at the final hits as well, where certainly when you've got Terra that's playing stuff like the Daredevil a bit more, Starlord, it felt a little bit more even when you compare it over to Finale and Gargoyle, but like going back all the way to Krakoa, Terra had 17 final hits, Delane had 10. Across the board, Rejects had less final hits, like less eliminations than what Terra was able to get on his own. Like, he is on the warpath to find these picks, and when you're playing with the Jeff, you're playing a super fast-pacey way. You just pick one target, send everything that you've got at them, and I don't know any swears, I think, in like Korean, but they're saying them because it's a blind panic when you have these players rushing and focusing your backline.
You brush up on your Korean slurs. Yeah. But listen, I mean, in general, 100 Thieves, listen, you're 2-0, right? If you're Reject, this is it, back against the wall, just enough space for some momentum to go forward. No tricks here, just play it all out, because this is quite literally it, Vicky. For this team, you lose here, you go home. So crazy. So sad to say goodbye to a team on the first day, but standing out, like we said, Finale, huge difference maker. Anyone else you want to highlight there?
I mean, I think specifically the fact that we've been seeing TTK as a player also rolling out with the Angela, right? You talk about Araco, you talk about having the awareness of having those environmental KOs. That's a little scary when I think about Angela, seeing the performance, it was Piggy. It was Piggy even before we even got started on the LAN. Now, going into this next map, I'm wondering, are we going to still see a lot more of these mobility characters give whiplash to what Reject has been having to deal with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's talk about Terra and Delina, because that's obviously the 1A and 1B. I always like to compare to sports, right? You've got the 1 WR wide receiver. If the 2 is that good, it's so hard, as we say what's up to Terra. We see him there with the comparison. Look at, he's always chill, Vicky. He's always just hanging out, even in the interviews, as we get a quick smile from him rare in the mid-match. But listen, when Terra, we know what Terra's going to bring. When Delina is able to spice up and continue the heat as well, that's where I feel like, right, 100 Thieves, unstoppable.
I think it's that kind of perfect stat line, right, where like Delane is putting out a bit more damage, almost like you'd see like from a Torch way back when, of just its suppressive fire, and then you've got the focus from Terra going alongside Vinny, going alongside TTK on what targets to focus on and take them out, and it's just a match made in heaven when you have both these guys on duelists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can see that, right? The final hits, like Terra getting the last laugh, Delina setting it up, right? That's a perfect T-ball for success. And when you look at it in completely, I got to say, Delina has just impressed me this entire time, going all the way back to Alpha with this team and what they put together.
Yeah, because Delina has had to have that flexibility, right? We've seen Delina on the Psylocke, we've seen it on the Phoenix, you see him on the Strategist role here, the Atom, the Hela, even the Bucky up here too. So you talk about needing that flexibility, well guess what? The person that's going to be able to follow up with Terra is going to be Delina in this equation.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what Reject cooked up for the map. Again, backs against the wall here. We are going into the draft, right, where the magic happens and the fundamentals are going to be clear. We're going to be heading on over to Clintar. How appropriate, by the way, for Halloween night.
Yep, the spooky map, and it is a little bit of a cold sweat map for 100 Thieves, because this is their choice when they were playing up against Citadel in groups, and it was the map where, speaking of Delana, they got shafted and stuck onto Invisible Woman for the map because of the way the Citadel drafted. So there is a chance, if Reject saw that game, got their sort of VOD review in, that they could do the same, but I have to imagine 100 Thieves would never allow that to happen again.
Of course, and for me, it's all about aggression. That's what 100 Thieves does so well, and this map, I think, favors it, right? If you're the aggressive team on this point 1, you're able to really carry that momentum into point 2, right, Vic?
I definitely agree, because then you also have those lanes, right? You have those close quarter fights, as we're going to see what the disruption is going to be, what this pick and ban phase is, and coming off the Rip Cozy, it's going to be the Mantis and the Emma off the table. I like that appreciation from Reject, only because they're pinpointing TTK in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, you see the Mantis out of there right away, and you have to have that. If you allow Mantis on the other side of things, it can just get sticky. We have the Jeff save coming from 100 Thieves, so you would expect the Venom to be banned quite shortly after that, right? When you come into the next save here, though, for Reject, who do you think they have?
I mean, so far it's been trying to get the Jeff themselves. It's been mirrored on either side. I think the Venom ban is good because it has been 100 Thieves being able to get the symbiotic here we go. Symbiotic shenanigans on the symbiotic service. Yeah. So that's a nightmare, Halloween nightmare for tongue twisters as well.
I was going to say Laffy Taffy, behind the Laffy Taffy as a tongue twister.
You get the Emma Frost one-sided at least, which is sort of on par with what they've been trying to do, but it might mean that a ban comes in on the Jeff for 100 Thieves to make sure the Reject don't get allowed it.
Yeah, so no scary hometown advantage from the Symbiote of Venom on his hometown map. Venom going to be both sides out of there. Yeah, and when it comes to Jeff on this map, it's less about getting the environmental limbs and more about trying to just separate them from the team, and then you kind of isolate who you need to go for.
Yeah, that's why I'm also interested to see that they had banned out the Mantis right away if you were 100 Thieves looking at Reject too, because instead of trying to protect, you know, looking at what they wanted to really lean on into that Emma, as you see the next ban, it's going to be the Bucky. It's the respect from both these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a mirror bans here with the Venoms out. Now the Buckies, you know, can't let what we've seen now Finale and Terra continue to do snowball too much, right? I mean, that's a hero that continues to do that, and it helps get rid of that kind of anti-dive approach as we get, okay, hey, it's going to be a little SeaWorld here. It's Jaws coming out for Halloween. Shark on both sides.
It's good that like the Bucky's been banned out, because it's like, if you do see the Jeff with the ultimate catch multiple people, just being able to slam down on them, make sure they don't get too far is important. But getting the Jeff and the Mantis, this is what it feels like. It's just a sort of pick your poison almost. If you don't have access to the Emma, fine, but you're able to get two of the strongest strategists. You're banning out Adam at the end to make sure that you don't give them free for free, because maybe 100 Thieves are going to be set up for triple strategists, but 2-2-2s work so well for them.
And look at this. Yep. I can't believe it. We have Mantis and Loki on blast ready to go, and that is going to be so tough to deal with. Usually you see that last ban, they had to go to Adam.
And you know what else? The Groot. The Groot goes by, because when you're focusing on banning out the Venom, you're focusing on banning out the TTK. When it comes to Emma Frost, that means you're also looking at Vinny, who has a Groot ready to go. So sure, I can't play the Venom, but the Groot will be able to come out with that team up.
Listen, you thought Kurova was the Adam Warlock to ban. Now Delena demanding that respect so much so, not even shutting down the team up there in regards. Ladies and gentlemen, Atlanta viewers, this could be it for Rejects. Let's jump into what is going to be the electric matchup of 100 Thieves and Reject.
Cozy, my friend, you have summed it up perfectly. You said the two words, uh-oh. And Moxie, you get a little bit excited over the draft, and so far, Reject haven't performed at their best for this draft at the very least.
Consent screaming, I think, sums up my state right now, because 100 Thieves, as Death pointed out, not only got the Mantis, they also got Harvey's Loki, they also got Vinny's Groot, which is absolutely huge for them, as we're going to see a Finale actually on that Jeff pushed all the way up to try and get the knockback onto TTK, who is Groot walled by Vinny to prevent the knockback from stopping that strange portal. And off of the back of this, Reject are going to have to flip their map, and essentially we go into a parallel dimension. 100 Thieves are going to be on defensive side and Reject the attack.
Yep, Reject forced into the middle area of the offense part of the map. The neutral area essentially flipped on its head. Reject and 100 Thieves need to find an opening, need to find a way to get their ultimates as soon as possible. Melania very close, but Vinny as well also close, but Terra finds that opening duel onto Izayaki.
I mean, you might have taken out Beyblade tech from the game. You haven't taken out stun tech, something that Dobie is going to be finding out the hard way. As 100 Thieves with that Mantis do have the regen domain with the damage boost, not just the sustainability. TTK is also going to be able to take out Marvel before the Invis boundary can come on through, and waits for his opportunity to catch the Strangling Prison onto the Strategist when the Vanguards aren't there to body block, if they even need it, because all of the fighting took place off of the objective in the side room, since since Reject had lost all of the space because of the map flip rotation force from the Strange Portal, which means that 100 Thieves just picked up first and are already all the way onto the high ground of second.
Seemingly record time, 100 Thieves were able to secure that first point. And no one on Reject were able to match the pace that 100 Thieves have been giving them. 100 Thieves, this is a team that like to use their ultimates first. All gas, no brakes. That is their mentality when it comes to these convergence maps. And they do just that. And look at the economy now. Reject still struggling to find key ultimates, whereas 100 Thieves, look at all of them with check marks across the board.
They're just going first. Reject aren't getting any opportunity. They could maybe have used the Sonic Seduction coming on through from the side of Piggy, but unfortunately for them, they're playing into a Seraphim shield in the hands of TTK because they banned out his Emma, which means that everyone stacked up in those hallways are behind the Doctor Strange shield and would have been covered from the Emma ultimate, which meant that they got to go first with the Ensong Inferno into Reject's backline and then put the pressure in when they caught the disengage. And off of the back of that, they've been able to continue the momentum and still hold on to this high ground. Reject have barely gotten the opportunity to use an ult.
This might be their best shot, right? They have their ultimates finally by 100 Thieves. Look how much they've been able to push. Already so close to that second point, but look at this. Here comes the offensive coming in from Melania, Vinny, and Delena. All of them joining forces to combine their ultimates to find the eliminations, but Marvel is able to find a pick onto Melania. Harvey copies with the eye and Vagamoto from TTK, only stunning Piggy, but it's enough to burst him down. And 100 Thieves still looking strong, looking good, and they continue their heist forward.
There's no wombo combo off of the Ensong Inferno either. Gargoyle is forced to use it in a hallway when he's on his lonesome, just trying to get the health reset as we head into third with 5 minutes on the time bank for 100 Thieves. And desperate measures are now going to be coming on through from the side of the defense. Longer line of sights means that we're going to see Finale swap over to the Hela, trying to disrupt and stall out 100 Thieves rotation, which is then going to feed into the setup opportunity for Gargoyle on the Wolverine to be able to close up the distance and put pressure on Vinny.
Reject do have the option to go for the Namor pick. You could use the Hela Namor team up, but that comes at a price of securing these angles. But look at the 100 Thieves. They have so much control right now. And Terra dinks down. Finale slams down onto Dobie. As Terra, this has really been the Terra show, the Terra cinematic universe.
There's no wombo combo needed, as we can actually see 100 Thieves use TTK Strange Portal to block the choke from Reject to be able to not disengage the push when Terra uses the Ensong Inferno, and he's getting these so often because of the damage boost. There's the pick potential of the Hela composition. It claims the life of Harvey, which 100 Thieves now going to have to give a little bit of respect over to the defense, given how close the respawn is. What a sleep coming out onto Gargoyle, but the elimination isn't there. The grab does come through onto the Groot, as everyone from Reject knows that they need to target the Strangling Prison before it can come on through. Finale goes too low, goes for the Goddess of Death, tries to catch the disengagement as 100 Thieves straight, but he has to immediately burn the Astral Flock because that isn't a health reset the way the Phoenix ult is.
Reject were able to push a little bit further. We're able to take control up the point, but that's going to take them so much work, so many resources used, so much time invested, and 100 Thieves have so much time. They're willing to give up some of the space.
But Reject, this is what they wanted, right? They swapped to the Hela for this exact situation. Now you have the pick potential without ultimate economy at range, which is where the Phoenix does struggle. She's good in the close and to mid distance in comparison to the Hela. So Terra's having to close up the distance and put all of the pressure onto Finale, utilizing his boosts to clear the off angle of both her and the Invis woman.
Gargoyle gets a kidnap onto Vinny, but Vinny is saved thanks to TTK from the bubble, but Finale in the backline was able to take down Terra. But all the ultimates on 100 Thieves are waiting and ready to be used, but Reject have that same resource as well. A lot of their ultimates could come down into this final fight as we head to the 2.5 minute mark on the timer. Harvey and TTK teaming up. Vinny trying to lock everyone down into the Meteor. Will find Izayaki as TTK needs to find the screen onto the counter Meteor end, but Marvel wasn't able to find a whole lot as Harvey used that Soul Resurgence to keep everyone alive and everyone fast moving.
Terra is going to have the Ensong Inferno. Reject don't have anything to deal with it. Izayaki's got to go for the copy. The regen domain is out on the field, as is the last stand, directly into the slow so that the 100 Thieves cannot escape the Wolverine's clutches. And off of the back of that,
oh my god!
gets a huge huge eat. Oh my goodness, what an anticlimactic end. There are so many players of Reject on that objective, which just means that there's a target range, a bullseye position for Melania on the Jeff to be able to complete the eat and carry them all away because Marvel burned the Meteor M earlier.
Might have been a hasty move from Marvel, right? They saw that TTK looked for the pick onto Izayaki, and Marvel might have had a feeling where, hey, I need to do some sort of play as well. We're down a person. I need to do something, and he doesn't find any value. Had he waited a little longer, we wouldn't have seen that anticlimactic finish where 100 Thieves come out with the triple.
I mean, Reject did do a good job of stalling, though. Remember, 100 Thieves were coming into third. We're 5 minutes on the time bank, something that is almost entirely unheard of when it comes to pushing into our convergence maps. But Reject slowed things down with the Hella pick potential. Now, however, they're going to be on the attack, which means that the Hella pick potential, it's not going to be very good here. In fact, it's going to be something that's very, very good for 100 Thieves, as they essentially copy the homework, but this time around, they're going to have the Mantis damage boost for Terra's position, as with the Mantis and the Loki, you do so much damage from that one duelist that it is a-okay to just play a Hella as a hyper carry.
100 Thieves now also running the triple composition. Terra switching over to the Hella to provide that poke composition, some extra firepower. Reject though looking more of a dive sort of identity as Gargoyle piloting that Wolverine hero. And now Reject need to find a way in. They're not going to opt to use the Strange Portal off the rip. Instead, they're just going to brute force their way through the middle neutral area. And 100 Thieves, I think they're happy with going for that.
There was a split spotted, and Terra's actually able to clear it. Gargo was looking to take away that high ground. Now he's going to run for that Hella, but he also runs directly into the Jeff, so has to abandon the position clearing of that angle, leaving it up for Terra. As we do see Reject, like you said, going for those side rotations so that they don't have the long angles for the Hella to finish. But even close off of the back of the cooldown Soldier, and it's so devastating for even a hero like Phoenix to go into the 1v1 against the Hella. If the elimination isn't immediate, she always walks away with that pick. As we can see that Finale is off of the Phoenix onto the Hella, and we have ourselves a snipe off.
Yep, Hella versus Hella, Terra versus Finale. The star player from America is against the star player of Asia as Gargoyle slashes down, but Finale is able to finish off Finny. As Finale looks to reposition, has to flock away. But for now, Reject with a man advantage, and Piggy extends it to go down to the hands of that Emma Frost as Reject secure that first point finally.
Technically, it's actually free as well, quite literally to the hands of the Emma Frost because of the Carbon Crush, setting up the hold long enough for Gargoyle to be able to keep the rage generated with those Wolverine Adamantium Claws, as we're going to see 100 Thieves look to sweep the momentum away from Reject. We've got Terra moving over to the Daredevil, looking to cleave everybody in terms of that melee fight. There's a regeneration domain with the damage boost. Marvel's going to be able to absorb all of the incoming damage, though, with the use of that Meteor M, but 100 Thieves still think that this is winnable. Soul Resurgence comes on through. Izayaki got the copy onto a Hella and makes it work. It's taken off of the map in Reject with the aggressive copy.
Oh my god.
Able to shut down 100 Thieves.
Who knew that a double Hella would work out in that scenario? 100 Thieves just go down, and due to the range and firepower from Reject, Izayaki and Finale teaming up. I don't think 100 Thieves were aware of that.
No, Delena's now going to be going over to that Psylocke as well to put pressure on this Hella, try and distract her long enough that Terra can close up the distance and get that pick off. But Reject very much in the driver's seat at the moment with the ultimates that they have available. It's going to be an off-angle approach up against Finale, and there it is. The Hella did not have the protection from Dobby because he was in position to use the Invis Boundary with the rest of the team stack instead.
Terra quickly switching over to the Daredevil, realizes that Finale on this Hella will be too much of a problem, so he switches over to the Daredevil to spot out Finale if he is in an aggressive situation. Gargoyle is able to find TTK. Delena gets entranced by the Psionic Seduction, and Marvel will finish him off. Vinny pops that Freedom Charge, weighing out the Star Spangled Path, but Melania looking for an opportunity to go for a good Jeff ultimate as Finale up to the skies, but the speech bubble appears for Melania, and that meets his demise. Finale now landing the shots, raining down hell on 200 Thieves, who have to look to reset quickly.
This Goddess of Death is being used as well to keep the Jeff ultimate in check, so Melania is going to be off Jeff over to the Invis woman instead. Delena is so close to the Dance of the Butterflies though, and it's all going to come down to Izzyaki to hold on to the regen domain. Out comes the Let the Devil out, stacking the damage for TTK, but the interception, the moment that he becomes vulnerable from Gargo with the Wolverine, gets the Feral Lunge and shuts it down. Dance of the Butterflies purely onto Finale's position, will be able to clean up one of those duelist players, but Reject still have the Invis boundary, and 100 Thieves have no choice but to invade into that space or give up second.
Oh my gosh, it's getting so close. We're getting a wide view of this entire fight ensuing. Everyone on 100 Thieves, everyone on Reject know what's at stake. There is so much on the line. It's either you move on in the lower bracket or you fall and get sent home. Harvey opens up the dance floor, one of the most important dance floors he might ever play, as Marvel will find Terra, Delena finds Izzyaki, and Reject trade it right back. Marvel picks up a double, and that second point finally handed over to Reject.
Ultimate economy as well on the end of Thieves. Got a little bit burnt there with Fate of both Wolves from Harvey's end to just try and keep the stall contesting. And Reject are still going to have Finale on this Hela too. So Delena's going to be sticking with the Psylocke, but Terra is over to the Star-Lord instead, really wanting to put pressure onto both the Hela, but also marking Gargoyle on this Wolverine. Should be able to, with the Mantis damage boost, push up to a very quick Galactic Legend build, as he's just going to go in aggressively, gets the Magneto bubble, everybody looks at him, has to react, and that allows 100 Thieves to close up the distance and play against Reject, who had no choice. They have to use the Emissary Instruction to try and stall out the aggressive play.
And now Reject need to group up yet again. Finale switches over to the Phoenix. The Jean Grey is going to be the decision that Reject have to go. It's overtime or bust right now for Reject. They don't want to go home now. They don't want to go home at all as Terra takes disguise, as there's a response with the invisible boundary, but the Devil not being used. Terra and Melania and TTK. So will Delena, as everyone dumps their ultimates. Izzyaki copies the ultimate of the Luna Snow thanks to the Goddess of Mischief, or the God of Mischief, I should say, as Gargoyle also close to his ultimate as well. The Star Spangled Path laid out again from Vinny, as 100 Thieves need to find the defense going. 2 minutes left on the clock now.
The overlap of Meteor M and Invis boundary might just have cost Reject that map, as they both used it in reaction to Terra's Galactic Legend and had none of the shutdown potential to combine it with Finale's Endsong Inferno to find the pick onto Harvey through this Fate of both worlds. This is going to be such a rough part of recovery for Reject to be able to turn around, especially because look at how deep 100 Thieves are, all the way into attacker spawn to make sure that there's no strange portal shenanigans and that there isn't a map flip behind their back.
If 100 Thieves are able to pull the point back under that little tunnel area, this is a place where Reject had a hard time pushing through. It's also naturally a difficult area to retake, especially being in that enclosed little area. It's going to be so hard for Reject to get the retake going, especially when you can't get the angle of the Endsong Inferno perfectly, as Finale dives right in, but Marvel and Izzyaki look to clean up 100 Thieves. They've already got 2. They just need to find 4 more if they want to move this point even further into OT.
This is just about 100 Thieves putting the bodies onto the objective and stalling it out. We're not going to see any ultimates committed. It's going to be a full regroup coming on through from the side of the defense. So for Reject, it's all about preventing it, and that's where the Phoenix gets to come into play. Finale catching so many stuns onto these players as they come out from those spawns, but 100 Thieves are out breaking around the first corner. They've got the invisible boundary, they've got the Meteor M. They're going to have to hold it though, as Psionic Seduction comes through first into the Invis boundary. They're looking to heal through from it. The CC is near the
Good bubble.
but the huge block comes on through from Marvel with the curtain, and 100 Thieves still haven't been able to find the eliminations to close out this fight.
Delena has to use this Solar Surge to just stall for Vinny's ultimate, whereas Reject dumped a lot of their resources as well, but a great bubble, keeping Izayaki alive, keeping that ultimate alive, and well as Dovi is able to find the opening pick onto Delena. This might be the domino effect that Reject need if they want to force an overtime scenario. 100 Thieves have to rely on Terra with that Galactic Legend, and so does Vinny with that Freedom Charge, but Reject still standing tall, staying on that point as the overtime meter comes up on the top of the screen. Everyone on Reject playing for their lives in this tournament. Everyone knows what's at stake. 100 Thieves want to ruin that push.
Terra is taken down, was so close to the end song Inferno. Terra comes on through with the massive pick, but Reject still have players, and they're getting to focus down every single time that 100 Thieves have to put one of their players onto the objective to keep overtime in play. They go into an outnumbered fight. Regen domain from Izayaki as well is going to be able to keep everybody alive as the Strange Portal comes back into the mix, and Reject gets Finale back into the play. Izayaki's next cycle now of the invisible boundary comes on through. 100 Thieves don't have an aggressive ultimate to cancel it, and that's going to be a full push in overtime in comparison to the 2-minute stock that 100 Thieves find on their clock.
Welcome to overtime, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Symbiotic surface. I believe that is the first overtime scenario we have seen so far in the playoffs, as Reject looking to lock in finally. Albeit it might be a little late, but it's better late than never.
This is going to be so stressful for Reject.
I would imagine.
I mean, you actually remember, right? Asia's had draws on Symbiotic Surface in their grand finals.
Yeah, back in stage 1. Fun fact, in the Asia stage 1 tournament, Reject up against Gen G in a best of 7. It went all the way to map 7. It ended up here on Symbiotic Surface, but it ended in a draw somehow, some way. And
well, technically it was overtime into full hold. That's kind of the way that Convergence does end up in a draw, but
in that situation, yeah, if both teams draw, and at least in that situation, they just played one more map, and that's why. And only in the Asia region, we had a map 8 in a best of 7. I trademarked this every single time, only in Asia.
Oh, Reject's going to be starting off on the attack. Let's see how much they can get with 100 Thieves almost at 3 minutes time bank. This has to be first
This is
as
different.
a pickup. And like you said, this is different. We're going to be seeing the Strange Portal. We're getting all of the body blocking coming on through, but Gargoyle's actually over to the Magic, so they can jump into the backline, chain the strategists together, and force them into having to stack directly into all of the aggressive plays that Reject want to cleave Finale through with on this Daredevil.
They know Reject know they don't have much time to work with, only a single minute to work with, but now everyone on Reject just falling to pieces already. Half the time already expended as 100 Thieves now having to defend what could be a full hold. Blink and you miss it. Reject might be at the back foot yet again.
No tick percentage picked up for Reject in that push. Marvel's got to go over to the Captain America. We're going to see Piggy onto the Angela, just looking to keep the point in place so that overtime gets an opportunity for Reject to gain a hold on this objective. Dobie's even onto the rocket, and it's not to be. 100 Thieves shut it down entirely, and now it's the situation that we talked about. It's either a full hold, or 100 Thieves move on in this tournament, and we send Reject home.
Albeit 100 Thieves could get denied from the site, but they have almost 3 minutes to work with. Reject, that was only 1 minute.
Yeah.
So they only had one good push. That's why they used the portal immediately. But unfortunately, it just fell flat. Harvey on that Loki with the regeneration domain was all the difference it took to shut down Finale's Daredevil and Gargoyle's magic. And now Reject have to look for the defense. What approach did they go for this time around?
I mean, it was also an unfair trade, right? One team has Loki, one team has Mantis Loki. So Harvey's regenerative domain is actually larger and also supplies damage boost for the players of 100 Thieves stood within it, which means that when Reject teleported directly onto that entire team, they teleported directly into all of that damage boost stacked on top of the also Mantis 12% damage boost. As we had no poke opportunity, which meant that the Mantis' seeds were at full potential and just stacked throughout the entire rest of the team.
And now 100 Thieves, they have to just match what Reject did, albeit Reject really didn't do a whole lot in that first overtime round. Now we head into the second where 100 Thieves is their turn to get at least a third on that site, and that's all that matters, as a little bit of a cheese play coming in from Reject to try to stall what 100 Thieves want to do. And now, thanks to the group wall protecting TTK, he will be able to give 100 Thieves safe passage, a plan that they did in their first time on the offense.
Oh, they've taken away Reject's safe space. That's normally the back room that the backline likes to kite into to disengage the attack from main. And yet again, Reject are forced to flip the map entirely. However, Gargoyle on the Wolverine is not going to give 100 Thieves free entry onto this room. Vinny's looking for the isolation, has to deal with Piggy on the Emma, has been able to wall off the Emma almost entirely, but he's able to make it to the shield of his Strange to get fully stabilized by the rest of this team. And we still have limbo in terms of point control.
But the pressure's all on Reject. They cannot afford to go down. If they do go down, they have to make a long way back onto the point. And with only 100 Ds, only have to control a third of the site. They might be able to just do it. Blink and you miss it. Everyone on 100 Ds locking in, making sure that they get to that third of that site, and it looks like that's all she wrote. 100 Thieves seize the symbiotic surface, and they will shut down what is left of Reject. 3-0, the final score for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, it felt like Reject were a little bit hands tied in terms of composition that they could run, right? This was why we were saying it's really important that they actually get through first and into second, because if they had, they would have been able to field something like the Hela and the Namor with that pick potential on the defense. But because it was purely one tick that was needed on the side of 100 Thieves, if they'd gone for something like the Hela and the Namor and pushed themselves into an isolated off angle, that teleport play, it wouldn't have been done to force the map flip. It would have been on directly whoever was isolated on that off angle, and way too vulnerable for 100 Thieves to turn their attention into. So for Reject, they kind of had to do the best of what they were given, right? Wolverine, because you're kind of reading into the group pick, you're going to have your passive for survivability if you do find yourself isolated and locked off. Emma to prevent the rushdown. Strange so that you have the most amount of shield coverage and can try and kite your way out with losing a player in the interim. And then you really do just have to try and play to be the first one to get those ultimates online. Something that Thieves were just able to take advantage of by sending in, you know, Terror on the Star-Lord and getting so much value with both the Mantis and the Loki pick too.
Props to 100 Ds, making the strategy work. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You just go for the portal play and just make Reject uncomfortable. And that's probably what Reject felt when they had to do it twice in a row. And the final time was the end of Reject's run here in the grand finals. Props to them, really. They have been doing so well throughout the entire tournament, and then 100 Thieves unfortunately had to sacrifice them in order to move on in that lower bracket.
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely go home with their heads held high, right? They were able to pull maps against some of our strongest sort of favoritized teams, I think, that a lot of people had at the top of their tier lists. And they also showed that there's some star power in this team. Like, these are going to be future stars that you're going to want to keep your eye on to when we move into all of these different metas. Not only could they play one specific composition, they could play many, which allowed them to navigate masterfully through the ban draft selection.
And 100 Thieves now moving on. Atlanta still has another America's team still kicking in the lower bracket. It's going to be a long road for them, and it's going to be a matter of how long can they stay alive, stay afloat.
We will have to see, as like you said, 100 Thieves will be able to continue. And speaking about 100 Thieves, we're going to be headed over to an interview with one of their players.
And I am here with Terror from 100 Thieves. An incredible run. Your journey continues through the losers bracket, but it was hard to get here. What was different between this series you just played and the series you played earlier today?
The difference between the series with VP and Reject is that it's a best of 3. I think the biggest difference is best of 2s. First to 2 is anyone can really win that. It's not really the long run, and it was still really close that game, but I think we just found out what we're still figuring out what we're still good at, and we're bringing it back right now. But as long as it's best of 3s, I think we're going to dominate every team.
So you're coming back in. Is this the start of the redemption arc for 100 Thieves to fight your way through and get that lower bracket buff?
It is 100%. There's so much more skill when it comes to best of threes than best of twos.
And you're also coming in here with not just potentially a lower bracket buff, but also a lower health buff because you were a little bit out of it earlier on in the tournament.
Yeah, it was really rough coming to the second day and missing out a whole day of like practice and all that stuff because I had to go to the ER, but I'm living through it. It's very hard, very rough, but I'm trying my best for everyone.
So Reject did still nearly drive you back there a couple times. What happened, especially in that last map, which took you all the way to overtime?
I think we were just having a little bit of fun trying some comps here and there, just trying a little mixture of stuff, but as soon as we just play what we know it's good, it's just end of there, yeah.
So you're obviously a player that a lot of people pay attention to because you're often the one making the flashy plays. There's a lot of talk about you, but I actually want to give an opportunity to you here to talk about your team. Who is there who is standing out that people might not see because you're the one landing stuff like the Kraken Impacts? Who deserves the shout-outs?
I think everyone deserves a shout out on the whole team because everyone does their own little job. There's not like a whole little thing. Like I make flashy plays, but there's always all this other stuff that's going around through the map, and no one can see everything because you can only see one on spectator, so.
So your next opponent, as the bracket will flip here, will be against the loser of FlyQuest versus Citadel Gaming. Do you have a preference for your opponent there? And is there potentially something you want to say to either of those teams?
I don't have a preference at the end of the day. We're going to best of fives now. Takes way more skill, and that's when we'll show who really is boss.
Fighting words from Terra from 100 Thieves. Congratulations once again, and let's head over to the analysis desk to break down that series.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to the desk once again, and shout out to Terra with the Crocs, buddy. Love those Crocs. What a vibe on stage there. And yes, hey, what did we talk about? The best of 3 to the best of 5 and that chance to kind of flip the script, and Terra just said it right there. Really feels a lot more confident as we saw 100 Thieves take what could have been going to the lower bracket, right? Looking a little bit, you know, on the downturn. They use it as fuel, Vicky, right, to turn this thing around.
Yeah, literally when I heard him say that, I knew immediately what he meant too, because you have to understand you have a lot more opportunities now to not only rely on maybe changing up your composition, try some things out in Terra's words himself at the very end there, have a little bit of fun when you're up maybe those 2 points, but also you have a lot more opportunities to lean into a different pick and ban phase that you want to maybe try out, looking at the opponents ahead, Ryan.
It's like the more reps you can get on stage as well. The full best of 5s, you go onto maps like Symbiote Showdown, which didn't go well against Citadel last time, looked a lot stronger there. To be fair, there was more of a fight back from Rejects in that third and final map than we saw in the first 2, like being able to finish out the maps and stuff, but it is more of a case of all of the things that they wanted to take from group stages that went wrong, VOD review it, put it into practice in an actual official. You just get more games and more chances to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look at the highlights here, I mean, in general, he just said it. We're trying to still figure it out a bit, right? Obviously, testing things out, but I think it's true. I mean, you look at them, that's what they did well going into this to claim the 1 seed. They were able to flex so much that there wasn't really an answer in the pick ban phase, and so trying out the pure dive comp here and to more. And so I definitely expect them to be a huge threat to steal, no pun intended, of 100 Thieves. But that lower bracket, I mean, FlyQuest, Citadel Gaming, loser of that, that's a huge matchup.
Rematches from Group B as well, which is... It was a slog, I think, for 100 Thieves. Maybe that's the difference as well, because I think back to like Na'Vi at mid-season finals. They played the most maps. They were in the losers bracket. They got so many reps that they were just out-experiencing everybody else in the server. So 100 Thieves could very much do that, and it feels a lot more important to them because they did lose against FlyQuest, and they did lose against Citadel in groups.
Yeah, we move away from the best of 3 where 100 Thieves lost 1-2 versus Citadel in day 1 of group stages, and then let's say it's FlyQuest, you know, the rematch that you and I, Cozy, usually see within Americas. Well, guess what? They lost to FlyQuest 2-0